Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra Book Club. I am joined today by my husband, John, aka BookTube Hubby, and also by Tom Brennan, Book Club VIP member. Just really quick before we begin our discussion of Ready Player 2. Just so you guys know, if you ever want to join us in the chat for the discussions on screen, on camera, you can do that by joining the Libri Labra Patreon. There are 3 different levels. Some offer behind-the-scenes footage, some offer priority responses on YouTube videos. You also get a custom bookmark. You get to help us pick the books that we read each month, and of course, you get to join us on the chat if you are a Book Club VIP member. So you can check those out by visiting patreon.com/Libri Labra. So today we are talking about Ready Player 2, which is the second book. Obviously, Ready Player 1 being the first one. It was a really, really big hit. This was a book that I nominated. I think I loved the first one, and I remember thoroughly enjoying the movie as well, even though there was some differences. I thought they were both really cool. So when I heard there was a second one, I couldn't wait to read it. And we had actually all read Ready Player 1 as a book club. So I figured, why not do Ready Player
2014, if you're wondering.
It was a while ago. It was definitely a while ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, you want to do initial thoughts?
I was really excited for this.
You say?
Mm-hmm. I might just leave it there, but we can get into all the other stuff later. But
that's what you have.
I mean, I have jokes, but not yet.
Not yet.
Tom, what are your initial thoughts before we jump into spoilers?
Well, all I can say is I remember back when we were chatting on Facebook and I said, oh, this book is supposed to be exactly like the first one, except that was Armada. Guess what? That's pretty much my initial reaction.
I remember you telling me you didn't like Armada that much, though. So I feel like initial thoughts are that, I think there's a part of me that enjoys kind of being immersed again in nerd culture and stuff. I feel like it's almost as though I'm not sure what I felt about the first one, because I remembered really liking it. But I'm wondering if I have to go back and reread it to remember certain things about it. There's just like an overabundance of pop culture references. And there were areas where, the pop culture references weren't just there, they were also explained. And I feel like if you have to explain them, then it kind of defeats the point.
There's always a debate here because you're always going to have the readers that don't get 90% of those pop culture references.
And that's okay. I think that's how it should work.
This is actually, I think, yeah, but I think then you won't get as many people that would want to read it.
But if you're banking on just pop culture references to sell your book.
The idea, I'm pretty sure, is that you appeal to the obsessive types, the ones that actually dug into these ones who actually understand some of these, and you'll get like certain people all over the place ping in different areas of the book. But you're right, it's overdone. It's just, you do have to explain it for those that won't get it.
What I do remember about the first one, though, and I don't know if it was necessarily, oh boy.
I don't know what's going on today, but I see it 14 times in a minute.
So I don't know if it was me or Jeff, but I know we had a conversation about some of the pop culture references. The first one, this is gonna be bad, that we didn't recognize, and so we were like looking them up. Mm-hmm. And there was like a specific movie that Jeff may have looked into. I don't know if we watched it or not, but we discussed it, I remember. So
did we jump too far ahead?
No.
I was wondering if this is still initial thoughts or if this is.
Yeah, because we skipped somebody's initial thoughts if we're going this deep.
We skip someone's initial thoughts? These are my initial thoughts.
Okay.
Oh wait, was Tom still sharing initial thoughts? Yes.
No. It's just a. Well, never mind. Continue.
I'm so sorry. I'm having a sneeze attack right now. So we can, at this point, jump into spoiler territory, I would say.
Okay. Now continue your thought because you
Yes,
were apparently around. Yeah.
But the sneezes, I can understand that
Yeah.
puts a halt in too much.
I was just saying that I remember there being like just a cool factor of let me look this up. Let me find out more about this in the first book. And I didn't quite feel that in the second book. In the second book,
I can understand.
It just made me feel like, I don't care.
I guess what you're saying, it takes away the fun of trying to figure it out yourself if you don't have it. But how would you know it's a reference unless you do all that research?
It almost seems like obviously, like blatantly obvious when he works
How it is.
Because there's ones that I don't necessarily recognize, but the way he works them in, they seem so obvious. And he doesn't just...
Oh, you're just saying you don't like the way he lays it out for you.
I don't know. There were parts where there was a reference dropped, and it was like a subtle one. And then like 2 lines later, it was like all the explanation and additional references to that thing. And I was like, come on. Like, I don't know. So it was like I was trying to sift through all the pop culture references to find the story, is what it felt like for a lot of the time.
Oh wait.
What are you gonna wait
No,
for?
mine's like that can be said later.
That was the end of my thought, I think.
Too much pop culture.
It's a lot. And like, I mean, he's referencing 80s stuff. So, because a lot of people say, like, don't include too many pop culture references in your writing because it dates it. But, I mean, it felt like a trick that he was only able to pull off once.
Ding, 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 ding. We have there is the problem.
Like, it worked really well in Ready Player One. But then trying to do it again. Yeah, it just trying to do it again.
You went to the well once too many times. Yeah, exactly.
Jumped in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's not to say there aren't parts about the book that I did. There were parts of the book that I liked. I thought there were parts that were interesting. I do want to say that I feel like Will Wheaton does a great job of narrating. Yes. I don't remember if I had listened to the audiobook for Ready Player One, but I know he narrates that too. But and I read the acknowledgments, and he was like, "Thank you to my friend Will, who doesn't just read the book, he performs it." And I wholeheartedly agree with that. He definitely does.
Yes. And he makes the best of the source material for what he's given. So.
I think I was expecting there to be more about the Oni headset and the Oni power. Like, there was definitely discussion about, why it was wrong or why it would hurt people. And then also there were people jumping in blindly. And so there was some discussion, but I wish they would have talked about it more. Whereas it seemed like the romancy element kind of took over at some point with Og and Jim Holiday. Is that it?
Yeah, and Kira.
Yeah. Them being in love with her and kind of fighting over her and all that other stuff.
There was no fight. It was just a happy couple and an obsessive idiot.
That's not what, well, I guess if that's how you want to describe it.
Well, I think one of the more interesting parts of the book, there's 2 things I found interesting. You're getting into the first one. It's like, don't ever meet your heroes.
Yeah.
And it's like, Wade, meets Jim Haldane and he's like all idolizing him and such. And then it comes out that he was this obsessive, who essentially cloned Kira, for his own purposes without her knowledge. It's
That's some
how
creepy
creepy
shit.
is that?
I mean, it's very creepy. It's like,
So
did she? Because there were some parts that were confusing. Because I was like, is this the clone talking? Is this the actual person talking? Like, Kira still knew before she passed away that happened, right? Or did she not? He only like had that conversation with her after the fact.
I don't think she knew
Okay.
until they told her, until she was the clone. So,
Right, okay.
because that was the whole point that, because I think they would have had a major discussion about that at the time if they did.
This cat. Hang on.
Told you.
It's not just one. It's all of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's got the union organized. What do you want?
I'll
But
hang out and be quiet.
I think the other issue was that while reading the book, I just felt like there was so much telling and not enough showing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just felt like the majority of the book was just being told things, and that as a reader, that's just not a fun experience when it's that much telling.
Yes.
Like, I know there were spots that he had to like fill you in, but like I don't know. I didn't feel like I was in the story like I would have liked to. I still appreciate the characters.
Mm-hmm.
There were quite a few things that surprised me that were in the book. And not that I'm friends with Ernest Cline or anything, but I guess, people talk about Ready Player One and who he is as a person and how that came about, and maybe some of his like posts on different forums and stuff. And I think I was surprised by the kind of more not necessarily political, but I don't even know how to explain it. But
The
just
understanding that was expressed.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't expecting him to like bring up transgender stuff or LGBTQ culture, or like I just wasn't expecting it. It was a surprise to me that he had
put that whole thing in there about love is love.
Yeah, like he not only put it in there. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know how genuine it was. I guess that's the question I'm asking. Was it something he like really meant that he wanted to share? Was it something he was just putting in there because he felt like he had to? I don't know.
Looking at it from an intelligence perspective, is that you would imagine that ability to do that specific thing would create that kind of understanding.
I know what he was explaining in the book. I know how he was explaining
But you're surprised that he figured that out? Or
no, not that he
thought
figured it out, that he decided to include those things in the book. That was the surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I did love how, I guess, Wade's experimentation in Oni or whatever kind of brought about that realization. Like, I thought the idea of that was cool. It was just a surprise to me that he put it in there, though. What did you think was done really well?
Will's narration.
That's not fair.
I mean, again, I like the additions to the stories, but you're right. It was for me, it was a little convoluted. It was just too much. I don't know what to single out that was done right in the book. I mean, because there's probably a couple story arcs that I would appreciate, but I just don't. I didn't put all the threads together. I wasn't all there in this one. It wasn't encapsulated. it wasn't something that kept me intrigued in the story, honestly. Unfortunately,
Okay.
that is this is a segue into what I was going to say earlier. Is that if I didn't read Axiom's End and Hank Green's duology before this, I probably would have enjoyed it more.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying they have very similar story arcs and things inside the story that kind of like made me think of the other one. So I'm like, oh, this has already been done. So, you know.
To that end, I was reminded of the series Black Mirror, where they talk specifically about two of the things that are done in the novel. I don't want to say what two they are, for fear of spoiling the episodes, but
I have an idea because it's all coming about right now. That specific idea is showing up everywhere in all the media right now.
So, yeah, there's at least 2 or 3 episodes I can specifically point to and say, yep, they did, this, they did this here, they did this here, and they did this here. It's like, well, and it was done much more concisely and better. But with that said, one of the things I did like is, this is granted, this is the end of the book, huge spoiler, that we find out that it's Wade the copy that's talking, not Wade OG, which I thought, okay, that was a good twist.
Okay, that's it. That's the thing.
That's that.
I know that like in the beginning they compared the whole like Oni headset and said, oh hey, T's here. Says We Are Legion, We Are Bob is the book and series of books that made this one make sense to me and made it fun to me. Okay.
We Are Legion. We Are Bob.
The Bob, Bobaverse, yeah. I have them. I haven't read them yet.
Or is that like graphic novels or like?
No, they're books.
Okay.
Very popular. I understand.
I have to check them out then.
Done.
What I was going to say was that like when I started the book, there was like a reference to lucid dreaming, because I know John was like, imagine having that technology, it would be so cool. And I was like, but we could technically do some of this right now. I was like, if you learn how to lucid dream, you can go into a dream and pretty much do anything that you want. And similarly, you really don't want to be lucid dreaming all the time because you're not getting restful sleep that way because your mind is still active. So I thought that aspect of it was really interesting, that you couldn't spend like too much time in the Oni headset because
overload.
Yeah. But can either of you lucid dream? I know you can.
I mean,
I know you want to.
There was a point where you had because you had intrigued me as much. I tried. I worked for quite some time. I think I've actually successfully lucid dreamed once. I think I told you about that. But then I haven't been able to recreate anything yet. I don't know. My sleep isn't restful enough, I guess.
And when you say like once, if you were to remember, was it just that like the minute you realized you were dreaming?
No,
you
it was actually as
or?
if I was like going back and forth. Like I had no control over the dream, and then I did, and it, honestly, like my brain was trying to separate from like having that out of body experience, but then it just kept pulling me back. It just wouldn't let me do it. I don't know. It's weird.
How about you, Tom?
The extent of mine, I think, and I know this isn't the same thing, is having deja vu moments. In other words, I'll be in a moment, it's like, I dreamt this a while ago, and I can remember dreaming it, but like, if you ask me to remember it off the cut, nope. It wouldn't occur to me. So that's the extent of mine.
T, how about you? Have you ever lucid dreamed before? It is, and there's like certain levels to it. I know like in the beginning when people do it for the first time, it's just like as soon as you realize you're dreaming, you wake up because your brain's like, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. Like we're not supposed to be aware of what's happening. So it takes like a lot of practice to stay awake but in the dream. And I feel like it took a long time to get to a point where I can manipulate the dream, because the awareness is just like half of it, and the amount of concentration required to actually manipulate the dream is a lot.
the idea that, I don't know, the whole, with axioms and with the idea of being able to put yourself, your consciousness into a simulation, and theoretically, apparently, the idea we can make it happen, but I don't know. I just feel like I keep having these existential crises over what life actually is. Is this actually a simulation that someone else already created? Like, it's just, everything's going to be a. I don't want to talk about this.
So T says he's aware of lucid dreams, but he didn't realize that was something you can make happen. Yeah, you could definitely. There's just like techniques. There's techniques you can use to initiate a lucid dream.
Make it easier for your brain to do it.
One of the ones that I've used often is just basically, as you're falling asleep, you lay down, you go to sleep, and you start counting in your mind, and you just say 1, I'm dreaming, 2, I'm dreaming, 3, I'm dreaming, and then you kind of just like slip into sleep. And if you keep trying to say those things, you'll kind of be aware as you're falling asleep.
Like, you tell yourself you're dreaming as you insert into the dream.
And then there's like techniques about just being able to identify dream cues, like, if you look up and the sky is like bright orange, which is something we're not necessarily, I mean, like, you see that, I guess, when the sun is setting, but maybe if like water is bright orange, something that's
a little off.
Yeah, something that's a little off, that'll help you identify that you're in a dream. But in regards to them like creating AI out of like people's
consciousness,
yeah, that's, I don't know how to feel about that.
Well, I don't know, because I know we have a way of actually testing and figuring out each person's DNA sequence. That's the physical. So what about the mental part? Like, there's a personality checklist in everybody, and that DNA tells you what kind of personality happens too. So I think it's kind of creepy, kind of scary how close we can actually probably get to act, and especially the technology that they have in AI nowadays. It's kind of disgusting.
I think what was intriguing was the fact that, as humans, we're flawed. We're all flawed. We all have flaws, but there's also a saying that like we're imperfectly perfect. And to know that him trying to remove certain pieces to like correct
a personality.
Yeah, the personality is what caused
screwed everything up.
Yeah, that caused the AI to break rules and do all these other things and try to change so much. But I guess had he had those elements, he may have just felt like a more complete person and not tried to, I don't know. Because Kira, when they finally put her together, she seemed chill. She just seemed like, I'm here, this is where I am.
Well, I think they had perfected the technique by then. I think that's what's the reason. Plus Halliday was unstable likely to begin with, so that probably had something to do with it. So
he was, but then he removed pieces. I guess that's what she was saying. The fact that he removed pieces is what made it.
Right. Yeah, so like the making a clone of a clone, like the multiplicity.
Mm-hmm. And they could. They
like
could absolutely do that.
I know they said that the purpose towards the end of them kind of being on this ship was to find a new place to start civilization. But the idea of like all these AI just hanging out on a ship sailing through space till like whenever.
But okay, so is Oasis housed on the ship, or is the ship inside the Oasis just flying off into space?
Oasis houses the ship. That's where the servers are. I'm sorry, the ship houses Oasis. That's where the servers.
Okay, all right. That's what I was asking, because I was like, wait a minute here.
Yeah, because he said that they took like eggs and stuff. They took like still to, I guess, continue the human population with them to find some place. Which would
All controlled by the AI on the servers on the ship.
I guess. Because it would, that's the only way it would make sense. It wouldn't make sense if they were in Oasis doing that, because then it's just make believe.
Well, not necessarily, because they could.
That's what I'm saying.
They could access the ship's controls to
the telebots or whatever.
Well, yeah, well, that, and just directly control the ship systems from the Oasis and say, okay, oh, we want to go over here. No, they can affect the outside physical world from within their servers. They just better be careful of driving around any black holes or anything because of the magnets. You erase all the hard drives.
Humanity just that's
it. Yep.
It just floats away.
Yep.
Oh man.
But there were some things that's like I just didn't understand why he put them in the sense that what the hell was the point of Nicholas Sorrento other than to be like bad guy from Central Casting? The other one was like the low five. They were like Deus Ex, unless there's going to be a book 3, which I hope there's not. But if there is, that's the only way I can think. What?
He needs to start a new story.
Yeah, and it's like, well, they didn't do really anything other than, oh, we need this sword. Yeah, go get that. Okay, here it is. Hooray!
What about there? So what happened on that quest? Who died?
They all did, except for.
Well, I mean,
Lohengrin, except for Lohengrin.
I'm talking about when they went for the sword. We got no information about what happened on the other side. They came back with the sword. That was it.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I would expect at least a chapter or two. Say here's the
characters, right?
Yeah, but like the way we get introduced to them,
perspective, I guess.
Yeah, we get introduced. They have a good introduction, and then all of a sudden they just don't use them. It's like he's like, "Hey, Lohengrin, be my servant and go over here and find that one instance of that town." It's like, okay, and then you don't hear from them again. And I get that that's likely little player 2 because they're having 2 teams to solve this, but it just I think they could have done that a better way. Like if they included more of the low 5, I think it would be a better book.
Right.
Plus, I don't know what the attraction is with between the 2 leaders and Wagner, but they both named their characters after the heroes in Wagnerian operas. Which both of whom happen to be paladins. So, Parsifal and Lohengrin.
There's just there's so much that felt like not even related in regards to some of the references that
it was forced.
It felt forced.
Well, I refer to this as Gymkata syndrome in the sense that if you ever saw the film Gymkata, it stars the gymnast Kurt Thomas, and whenever he has to beat up enemies, there's always like a pole or something that he could swing from and do what he has to do, like in a gymnastic way. This is what this had in space because we just happen to have a Tolkien expert to solve the Tolkien problem. And it's like, well, that was fortunate,
That's kind of how I was going to describe it. I felt like that a lot of it felt very contrived and like just super convenient. And I would have liked to see more threads as the story was being told, like kind of a build up to something.
We only get Wade's side of the story. It would be if they had like Shoto's point of view. I know you don't like multiple perspective books, but I think this would work in this case because it would give, some. A bit more complexity to it.
A bit.
Quite
different, more nods to more pop culture and other people's personalities that other people might have picked up.
Honestly, this felt like reading a walkthrough for a video game with a Wikipedia references for the thing. And it's like, well, which there is some merit to that, but some of them just go on too goddamn long, like Prince. I mean, I like Prince and all, but
that was a lot of Prince.
That was a lot of Prince.
That somebody likes some Prince.
Yeah. And it was interesting to see, the characters, which, react like people do when they have a lot of knowledge about a very, 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 very specific thing. How is it you don't know that, I'm sorry, I didn't live my life in Princeton.
I mean,
yeah.
they react that way. You don't know?
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. I just think.
I mean, I feel like part of that just comes from the fact that they have been playing this game for so long to escape reality, to win that original contest.
Yes.
And so they had to. I mean, like, the game was built in a way that was kind of providing those things, like those tidbits and the pieces of information in different areas of the game. So I guess if you play it enough, you learn something.
I mean,
yeah, but they also called out the trope. So I think it was Samantha that called out the tropes. Like, Jesus Christ, you have the malevolent AI in your system. What the hell do you think is going to happen? So, and they do the HAL 2000 and or 9000. Sorry, HAL 9000 and a few other ones. Which, yes, hooray! That's another reference, but this is a done to death trope.
He even had me excited to bring back it was the glitchy TV host guy.
Oh, Max Headroom.
Max Headroom, yeah.
Yeah, he even had me excited to bring back some Max Headroom, and even made that disappointing too. Because I was excited about. I was like, I like Max Headroom. Let's see what they do with him this time. Oh, no, didn't like it.
He had a cameo. That was about it.
Oh well.
I mean, I lived through the 80s, and I don't have the kind of attraction this guy has to it. Which is fine, but it's just, I don't know. I don't get the.
I really think this was an idea for a movie way before it was a book, and then it was ended up being written into a book first, and make it a movie afterwards. Because I think all of these things would be amazing visual scenes, but not detailed like they are in the book. Like the way he lays it out to you, it sounds like he wrote a screenplay for it, and this is how I want these scenes laid out, and then this is what happens.
Here's the storyboards.
Right, basically. So that's it. I think this is definitely going to be better movie or TV media than it is a book.
I wonder that wouldn't be the first time somebody's done that. I feel like people do that now. They kind of write a book, hoping it'll get picked up with the intention of it being made.
And to be honest, he is kind of limited by the source material because that's the way the first one unfolded. So it would make sense to have something similar. But I don't know. It wasn't different enough for me to say, like when you have a sequel, like in a video game or anything else, you want more of the same, but not everything the same. So it's like, what can you show me new? And that's what I thought of Jay Kristoff in that regard, in the sense that yes, he gives us more of the same, but he twists it and he makes a twist that makes this entirely new in his second and third books.
Okay.
I know that there's certain games we've played a lot of. Let's just use Legend of Zelda as an example. And there are certain things from playing Legend of Zelda games that that carry over into the new ones. You can burn bushes. You can do with the music, the little sounds mean. How to find and solve the puzzles and stuff like that.
It's the new stuff added to the game that makes it interesting.
But in the book, when they were I just didn't feel like I could follow along with them, and I wanted to be able to. I think unless you already have all that knowledge, I don't know. Because when he was just laying out all the 7 symbols and did you read the text too, Tim? Oh my God, Tom.
Yes.
Did you read the text too?
Yes, I read and listened at the same time.
So it's they were so fascinated with these symbols and what do these symbols mean and what does the 7 mean and what is this and what is that, and it would have been so much more fun if I could follow along and understand what they were talking about and what was going on. And where that was going to lead to, and I just didn't feel like I
if you had
could.
a visual representation.
But I did. I did have a visual.
No. I meant like actual things to see what they were doing and like what they were doing at that moment. There was a point I had there.
I don't know. So is that like, I don't know if that's just my lack of Prince knowledge that made it difficult to follow along, or
Yes, because I had the same problem.
okay.
I can try to imagine what they were describing, but I had no idea because I wasn't a Prince fan.
That, and there wasn't really much of a challenge in that. Like I said, it was a walkthrough. They had somebody who's next to say, here, you just do this, this, and this, and you'll succeed. Oh, okay, well, I did X, Y, and Z, and oh, hooray, here's the shard.
That's what I was going to say. If they were in the video game majority of the time, it really didn't feel that way. Like they threw the references and they made everything like colorful. Like honestly, the way he described it made it sound like they were in. I mean, that's what it is. Is like they were in a reality like that. But I didn't get the sense that they were in a video game that often. Outside, oh, wait a minute. Oh, they're still in the Oasis. Okay.
Yeah, they're still in the Oasis.
I was like, oh, hang on. They're still in the Oasis. This isn't a real thing. That's why that. Okay, all right. I had to do that multiple times.
But that's kind of from their frame of reference, because that's what their reality essentially is now.
Right.
And that's what Samantha was talking about. It's like, you're using this as an escape, to go back to Three Body Problem. They're escapists, essentially.
Huh. I think that's totally it. It's just for me, I wasn't in it because I want to see a physical representation of it. I want to see the TV show now, or the movie.
The movie, yeah.
And that's going to get twisted and changed too, so it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, but it'll be the same, like similar guidelines, I would imagine. Well, there'll be a quest, and they have to do X, Y, and Z to get the shards, and I just want,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just say, I just wonder what he's going to. If he is planning a third novel, I don't know what it would be, because they have them jetting off into space. Unless
they find, like,
it would be interesting to have them come back to Earth, the AIs, like in X number of years. Granted, the original cast would be dead, or they would be, in their simulation.
A completely different story, a new set of kids, but then they're visited by the AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
And none of this. I'm the 35th grandson of the. No. That's the only way I could see that would work.
A poor orphan, we come across some of the trials and tribulations they come across and how sad they grew up, and they come across and they find some other Easter egg that's been hidden in the Oasis, and come to find out they're like great grandfathers. That type of shit.
It's like, oh, we recognize organic life sucks, and we're going to exterminate you all. It's like, well, that's a trope. Again. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess within the limited context of the novel, he was kind of prescribed to what he could write about. So, and the fact that it was so much like the first book kind of disappointed me.
Yeah. I expected it to be a little like it, but not.
Yeah. Like, 3 gates as opposed to 7 shards. Okay. So,
I mean, in the first one, I feel like, unless I'm just confusing it for the movie, but I feel like there were more pieces where you see them in real life versus.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And plus, that's not readily apparent from the text, because sometimes you'll get in the few. It's like, they're outside at his actual house, not in the Oasis, sort of a thing.
Sean got to start writing the sequel.
He said we should write the sequel. I mean, I think it has the potential to be interesting as long as it's not like based on this in-game quests where you have to find.
And that's the thing.
things.
I can't say that I wasn't entertained, because I was, but there are certain things I just cannot escape about the book. You know?
One thing I did like about the first book is that he made it so, because he made it open for everybody to win. So he was actually fighting with like 100. There was more tension in trying like other people getting on top, you know. But the second book, it was so linear. It was kind of hard to enjoy.
Yes,
like
he had to win.
Just like, it was it's just bah.
I mean, there's a couple of things that happened at the end that I wasn't expecting. I don't even know if I was like even trying to predict anything though. I was like, it's just.
I wasn't either.
I
was taking everything at face value.
So even though like him and Sam were kind of like on opposite extremes in regards to how they felt about the technology, I don't know if I was expecting them to get back together or anything like that, but. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I'm currently rereading All Our Wrong Todays.
Okay.
And in that book, he mentioned something about how every time we introduce a new person or a new technology, that we're also introducing the accident of that person or that technology. And it made me think of this in the respect that, like, anytime we create something that somebody thinks is cool for, you know, whatever reason, it could help people like X, Y, and Z. At that point, you've created the technology. There's always going to be someone who's going to come in and exploit it and use it for something negative.
Yep.
So, like, I totally understood where Samantha was coming from and why she was scared of it and why she didn't want to put it on. She didn't want to use it. She didn't want to hear about it. And like, I get it. That's pretty much everything. Everything is going to have its like pluses and cons, depending on how you look at life, I guess. Yep. And that's unfortunate, because there has to be instances where someone has a great idea and then eventually realizes how it could be used for evil, and so they decide to not even follow through with it. Like, there has to be somewhere out there being like, no, I can't let this fall into the wrong person's hands, and that sucks. That we would limit progress.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, exactly. that exactly.
Just that one clown.
But here's something to consider from the end of the book. If I remember correctly, Kira Morrow her AI was developed from that scan back in the 80s, correct? Ogden Morrow's scan was done when he was an old man.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, are we have old man Og and young girl Kira?
That's what it sounded like.
Because the Kira would not have the same memories that his Kira had.
Right. I think you just found the hole.
But she still said, like, whenever they got that snapshot of her consciousness, they had already been together and married, and she was already in love with him, because that was the flaw in Halliday's plan, because it was the snapshot of her brain at that time, so she was already in love with Og and everything. Yes,
but she would love him as a 20-year-old or however old she was. Girl would love her, not as a 60 or 70-year-old woman. I don't know how old Og is at the time in the story, but you see what I mean?
But they could have made him look like whatever. I guess mentally.
Yes, but they would. Yes, but it wouldn't be the same, because Og would have, by definition, I would think Og would have to have memories that she does not.
And the fact that he has memories of her death.
Yes.
Like the what's the thing we just read? That he went through the whole simulation, the test.
Oh.
The whole just like that, basically. Even though those things, you still went through those things. It changes a person. So
yeah, and you know, they did make the point that, you know, they have the same starting point, you know, like Wade and AI Wade, but they're two different people, but as their paths, branch out from each other, they become two different people. But
And she got Og in the end, I guess. Still,
yes, but
it was just one of the things that was just handed. It's like, here, this is how this works.
Convenient that he didn't want to use the helmet the whole time.
Yeah, but that would have been a much more compelling read, I think, if they had developed that story. Like if they had made it like that,
So that could be added to the future book. It'll be something they have to read past. They have to get through to.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen in the 80s. Yeah, it didn't happen in the 80s though, so we can't include it.
Oh gosh. What did you think about? I don't know. I was listening to him being in the hospital and sleeping for 15 hours and all this other stuff, and then I don't remember what triggered him to jump up and take the IV out and just run out of the hospital. But I was like, really? You just had a rough time, dude. Chill. But,
well, he's the hero of the story. He has plot immunity. No, I'm serious. They could do that kind of shit.
I guess so.
If Game of Thrones taught me anything, it's the blessed phrase of plot immunity, because it's absolutely true. It's like we cannot eliminate you from the story, so you can do whatever the hell you want.
One thing that I do want to say though is that I felt like Samantha had a bit more personality in this one. They shared more about how she functions and who she cares about, and what her goals are and what she wants to do, and how she's behaving with the money that she won from the contest, and it just seemed like there was a lot. She was she felt like less of a just manic pixie dream girl than she did in the first one.
Well, she's kind of a foil to Wade to show what kind of person he is, and by the end of now, he realizes that he's been like an adolescent toward her, and because I know they mentioned when he was doing the sex things, and it's like he had his own sexuality. Okay, this is why I'm this way, but then after looking at those, well, maybe it changes his viewpoint a bit. So he does become a bit more mature, I think, over the course of now, although it's glacial.
And I think he definitely does say that she makes him a better person. Being with her makes him a better person. Do you have a favorite character in this book?
Hard to say. No, I don't know. Nothing really stands out to me as I liked that. So I mean, about maybe some of the characters they come across. Yeah, I don't know.
What? And this is completely random, but what are your thoughts about the privacy concerns with having anoraks? Robes, where he was able to literally able to jump into
anybody's
any
chat
undetected.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a lot of things that the company was doing under the radar that was pretty messed up.
And if anybody had the power to do, they would.
Ethically, and then he was just so nonchalantly saying, "Oh yeah, but we would never tell people we were doing that."
Of course not. What do you think Google's doing? I'm sorry, I don't know. Anybody, all of the media companies, they're holding on to all sorts of information about us. They even have our personalities.
Yes, we are the product.
And they want our attention. That's what Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, they all just want our eyeballs and attention.
Just a bunch of me seats.
Look at me. I don't know. Do you want to do final thoughts?
I was going
Wait,
to
T said, yeah, we really don't know what's in all those TOSs we signed.
It's true.
I mean, even if you did read it, there's still a lot of stuff. It's like, what?
Yeah, all that legalese goes right through my right out one ear. Just, huh? I was gonna give it 2 stars at the beginning of this. I moved up to a 3 just because we actually talked about it, and it wasn't something that everybody just got upset about. This is stupid. So I'll give it a 3 stars. Again, there's a couple things I enjoyed, but it didn't live up to the hype that I thought it was going into it.
I would probably give it 3 stars. I think, like, I was probably more disgruntled reading it than in the discussion.
She yelled at me too many times.
I couldn't tell if you were getting mad at me that I was mad at the book, because you do that for whatever reason.
I was just getting frustrated that it like, I don't understand why it was frustrating you so much. Like, you were angry. You just why?
I was, but I'm gonna just chalk that up to just my problem.
My problem.
Okay.
I was having, I don't know, maybe it was just the headspace I was in. It was frustrating me, and there's just so much that I was like, I don't care. But even in parts where, like, he was talking about things that I've seen a million times and things that I love. Like, I love the Breakfast Club. But for whatever reason, it was like really irking me that he picked this one scene in the Breakfast Club about the little elephant lamp in shop. And I don't know why. I don't know why it was like just annoying me.
Because you felt like he could have used that movie better?
Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it was just
you like the Breakfast Club and you're like, why are you slandering my movie?
No.
Don't talk about my movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know. I don't know what it was. But again, I'll say it was like, maybe it was just me. It's just my headspace. But I would still give it 3 stars.
Well, I gave it 2. I think it was okay. I mean, like I said, I was entertained, but there were certain things that was like, well, you know, with the why introduce the low 5 unless you're going to have them in another novel? But he doesn't do anything with them. You know, Nicholas Sorrento, you're here to be shot, dude. Okay.
He only added a tiny bit of anxiety to the book, and it really
yeah,
wasn't
exactly. It's like, why is he even there?
He's
Yeah.
like, oh, Nicholas Sorrento's out of jail, and then it's like,
yeah.
Okay.
So what? Yeah.
What's he gonna do?
Yeah. Plus the overall sameness to the first book, like I said. Yeah. It is. It's like you know, like I said, it's like reading a walkthrough for a video game with Wikipedia references. You know, which wasn't fun. So I guess I get you're a huge, you know, John Hughes fan. I get you're a huge Prince fan. I get you're a huge ninja fan. I don't remember the game, but I'm not that invested. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
I know there were a lot of people that gave it 5 stars, and I'm wondering if those are just people that are that familiar with all the things he inserted.
No, they haven't read the book. No, okay.
T, what did you rate? Oh, he said, okay, 3 out of 5. I enjoyed it, but lots of room for improvement. All right, so we're like all on the same page. Mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was, you know, there were definitely aspects that were interesting to revisit, and he touched upon things that were interesting to consider, because it's probably coming.
Mm-hmm.
That technology is coming, and so we probably should start thinking about it now and how we're going to use it, what we're going to do with it, whether we want to engage with it. So I think that
Well,
was-
in that regard, I would suggest watching Black Mirror on Netflix.
I've only
if you
watched
have
like 2
Netflix.
episodes.
Watch. Like I said, there's 2 episodes which deal directly with stuff that's in here. I don't want to say which 2 to give them away, but
I like Black Mirror. I wanted to watch it too. Have you heard of Love, Death, and Robots? It's animated. They take different animations from different production studios and make it into each episode. Amazing stories.
okay. That sounds like a comic book to me.
Might have been. Might actually be. But I know on Netflix it's a really fun one.
Okay.
So,
Well, see what's that.
and then just to get everybody's thoughts, I think Tom already said that if there is another book after this in the series, he's not going to read it. Would you? Would you still like? I mean, I don't think he's going to call it Ready Player 3 because that would be like ridiculous. But
Because he will. He totally will.
they should make it about the baby.
Who's baby?
What? Weren't they having a baby? I swear I read they were having a baby.
Who's having a baby?
Wade and Samantha.
Is that true?
Hold on.
Did I completely miss this, Tom?
Hold on.
It's possible.
Did you miss Did you miss it? Are they having a baby?
It sounds like yes, but is this AI? The AI,
Yeah.
or is this?
Who's
Yeah.
having babies? Computers?
Last week, Wade sent me a short email and said that he and Samantha are expecting a little girl and they plan to name her Kira.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
They both seem really happy, especially Wade. The prospect of becoming a father seems to have made him more hopeful and optimistic. He's going to be a great dad, and I'm looking forward to experiencing fatherhood vicariously through him. It's the closest to being a parent I'm ever going to get.
Ah, the email to himself?
Yes.
Dude. Because that's not your consciousness if it's just a copy of you.
Maybe different people by then.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if my consciousness gets like put into a computer and I can walk around and I can actually, but then if I'm pulled out and my consciousness stays behind, that's.
I don't know. It sounded like it was just. Hold on. He says, I dig Ernest's breezy writing style, so sure, I would give a sequel or a different book a spin.
I mean, I'll do it for Will. I want Will to read
That's a big
it
assumption.
to
But
Well, if we did it here, I would certainly not protest. I mean, I would read it under that circumstances, but where I go on my own to read it, no, I would not.
I didn't read Armada, so I don't know what that was about or if it
Again,
connects to anything.
I liked it. I did love it.
Mhm.
But that was a
was
fun
that a
one.
3 or was that 2?
I think I would 3 at least. Maybe a 4, but I don't know. I have to look back and see what I did, but I don't even remember. But it's just that for Armada, I really like the idea of using the video game, like the how much video game expertise I might have to go fly a fake drone spaceship somewhere. That seems kind of cool, but outside of that, it was good. His writing style doesn't hurt. It's just he doesn't. There's not enough. There's too much irrelevant information, which is meant to seem relevant.
Yes.
I would. Yeah, that's a good way of explaining my frustration. I think that it was kind of irrelevant, but made to seem relevant, and I don't think that part was done very well. But I would probably read a sequel just because I'd rather regret the things I've done than the things I didn't do.
Wait.
So. Oh,
Lizzie
hey.
Faye, welcome.
We were doing spoilers, but we're just wrapping up right now.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, how
Yeah.
far are you, Lizzie? Are you like in the beginning? Are you in the middle? Are you enjoying it? She shares. 30%. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, we threw a lot of spoilers out. So
Yeah, we did. We did throw a lot of
Come back
spoilers
after
out. So
you
come back
finish,
after
too.
you're done reading.
and yes.
But we were just recapping our ratings, and Tom gave it a 2, and I gave it a 3. John gave it a 3, and T, who's also in the chat, gave it a 3 stars. So, but I would love for you to come back and let us know what you thought about it and how much you enjoyed it. For next month, we are going to be reading. I don't have it.
I noticed.
Tom, you nominated the book. So
Oh, that doesn't necessarily mean I remember what it was.
Wait, hold on. I don't even remember what I picked now.
It's like Stranger or something.
Yes, that sounds right.
And then I'm looking it up.
Wait a minute, I think I know. Wait, come on, you hurry up.
While you guys looking it up, I tore through the first set of the Grisha books last week.
The Stranger Times by C.K. McDonald.
Yes.
The Stranger Times.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit of what it's about?
Well, let's see.
By C.K. McDonald.
Yeah, this is the first. This is actually Queeve McDonald. He's an Irish author, and this is the first book he's published under this particular pseudonym. Reading from The Stranger Times, I quote, "There are dark forces at work in our world, and in Manchester in particular. And so thank God the Stranger Times is on hand to report them. A weekly newspaper dedicated to the weird and the wonderful, but more often the weird of modern life. It is the go-to publication for the unexplained and inexplicable." And it continues, but that gives you an idea.
Okay. Spooky periodicals.
I've read 3 of his other novels, and they're all lighthearted. Well, we did one of his short stories, The Christmas Story, that he did
Oh, okay.
back
All right.
in the day.
I did like that. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So that's what we will be reading and discussing in February. Once again, it's The Stranger Times by C.K. McDonald. So that's how we book I go, and I'll get the audiobook and audible for you.
That would be lovely. Thank you. We want to see if it's on script first?
I don't think it is,
Okay.
but I can check. All right, so that was our Ready Player 2 discussion. If you've read it and you'd like to comment, let us know what you liked or disliked about it. Please feel free to do that in the comments. Once again, if you'd like to help support the channel, if you want to be on camera doing our discussions, if you'd like a custom bookmark, some other perks as well, just visit patreon.com/Libri Labra, and you can pick a tier and sign up there. And if you're not ready to support the channel monetarily, you can also just go and follow and comment over there whenever I post stuff. So
And participate on Goodreads and comment on the videos.
So there'll be tons of links in this video of where you can find things. Yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel as well. All right, well, thanks for joining us today. T and Lizzie, hope you both have a wonderful Saturday, and hope to see you again next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.